Hi, Pat.
Okay, this is a meeting of the Borough Council on April 7th, 2021. The notice requirements provided for in the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied. Notice of this meeting was properly given by transmission to the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times and by posting at the Borough of Highlands Municipal Building and filing with the Borough Clerk all on January 1st, 2021. Please be advised that due to the current state of emergency and public health emergency declared by Governor Phil Murphy and pursuant to executive order, in an effort to prevent further spread of COVID-19, the general public will be excluded from Borough Council meetings until further notice. The public will be able to participate in all Borough Council meetings by video conference. Members of the public will be able to give public comment during relevant portions of the meeting. If you want to ask a question or make a statement to the governing body, please press the raise hand button, then wait to be acknowledged by the clerk before speaking. If you are calling in, please use *9 to raise hand. Please state your name and address for the record before making your statement. There is a 3-minute time limit for your comments. The clerk will inform you when you are near the end of your time and ask you to finish up. Thank you. Would you please stand for the pledge at this time? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I will now call roll. Councilmember Martin?
Here.
Councilmember Mazzola? Councilmember Mazzola? Here. Thank you. Councilmember Melnick?
Here.
Council President Olszewski?
Here.
Mayor Brion?
Here.
On tonight's agenda, we have no approval of minutes. Next, we have one ordinance for public hearing and final adoption. That is ordinance 2113, refunding bond ordinance of the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey, providing for the conversion of a short-term debt obligation of the borough into a long-term debt obligation by appropriating an amount not exceeding $2,400,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $2,400,000 general obligation refunding bonds of the Borough of Highlands to accomplish the conversion.
Before I open this up to the public, I would ask that our CFO, Pat de Blasio, could briefly explain this ordinance and why we are putting it forward to you.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. So we introduced this ordinance a couple of meetings ago there, and we have a community disaster loan that FEMA is looking to get repaid back. And I know that the mayor is working very diligently to have these funds forgiven. But the state came out and passed a new law, and they said instead of paying this loan back in the required 3-year period, we can pay it over a 10-year period. So by preparing this ordinance and getting it adopted tonight, it enables the borough to go to the local finance board on Wednesday. And if this debt is truly has to be paid back, it would be paid back for a 10-year period, which would be better. That would happen to be better. Pay back over a 10-year period instead of a 3-year period.
Pat, thanks for that description. I don't know if it was just me, but I felt you were cutting in and out, and I don't know if it was background noise. And I just want to make sure, because that's really important information. But Linda, I see you nodding. Were you having a problem hearing too?
Yeah, I actually, yeah, cutting it out, and I'm also hearing right now like a very loud white noise in the background. Is anybody else hearing that?
If everyone who is not speaking, then you'll be able to hear Patrick.
Shall I go again?
Yes, please, sir.
Yeah, and Joanne and Kevin just didn't know if you picked that up, like just to drop yourselves on mute. Okay.
Sure. Okay. So again, the Borough of Highlands there has some FEMA money that FEMA is looking to get paid back, about $2 million in a current fund and about $300,000 in the sewer fund. So we have a 3-year payback on that. And the state legislators came out with a new law saying, well, we can pay it over a 10-year period if we apply in front of the local finance board. So the purpose of this ordinance would enable us, once adopted, to go in front of the local finance board on this coming Wednesday and we'd be able to extend this loan to be repaid back over a 10-year period. And I just want to note that I know that the mayor and other council members are working very diligently to get this loan forgiven. And there's a degree that it could happen. So that's the purpose of the ordinance.
Thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. Oh, one other thing, we did have a request with the new format that we announce the amount of folks that are on the call. And I'll do this at the beginning and also at the end of the meeting. We have 11 council and professionals, and we also have 19 members of the public for a total of 30 people on the call. And with that, Michelle, if we can open up to the public, if anyone from the public has a question on this ordinance, if you would press that raise hand button, and then we will get to your question. Michelle, I don't see anybody. Do you see anyone on your side?
Let me take one more look. No, I do not.
Okay, well, seeing nothing from the public, then I will close public portion. And I will offer this ordinance.
Second.
Mr. Mulnick, okay. Councilmember Martin,
On mute, Kev.
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Briand.
Yes.
Okay, this ordinance has passed on second and final reading. Next, we have on the agenda, we also have 3 ordinances for introduction. The first is O-2114, an ordinance creating section 4-17 of the Borough Code regarding commercial film licensing requirements.
Just to briefly describe this ordinance, I believe we talked about this 2 meetings ago. This is another way that the borough can earn some money to allow folks that have been doing it for free to come in, and these commercial operators, and they would pay a fee, a per day fee, in order to film in our borough. And then any other fees that might be incurred, whether it be police or DPW or anything to that extent, those would also be reimbursed by those film corporations. And this is meant to be only for commercial filming. I mean, not for a student or obvious, people's families or anything like that. Commercial operations only. So with that, I will offer this ordinance.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Briand.
Yes.
Okay, this ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing set for April 21st, 2021. And next we have O-2115, an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
For the calendar year 2021.
Yes.
This again, I'm going to ask our CFO to explain, as he does every year, but he does it so much better than I do, so I will defer to him.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'll try. So the cost of living increase this year is 1%. So we live under these appropriation caps, which is the amount that we're allowed to raise our municipal expenditures or appropriations by a certain limit. So the statutory requirement is that we can go up to 3.5% of the municipal appropriations. And that's the purpose of this ordinance. It will take us from the cost of living increase of 1% and it brings us up to 3.5%. And that totals $284,000. And the other good thing about this ordinance, it preserves our last year cap bank. and our last year cap bank was 252,000. Now, if this ordinance gets approved, our budget is below the statutory appropriation limits by 592,000. So we're well below these limits. So the question always comes up, well, then why are we doing this, you know? And I think the simplest way is to say that we take these, it's not real money, it's limits. It enables us to preserve these limits for a 2-year period. So if something, a crisis or something hits the town, we would be able to raise our budget in those years if needed, and it would have to be voted on by the governing body to do so. So this is really a protective measure. We have never tipped into our cap banks before, and that's just the explanation I have.
Excellent. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so just Pat Dunn, just my easiest way to understand this is it's a buffer that's available to us in the event of an emergency. It's not additional funds that we're guaranteed to spend. It's simply here's us putting that safety buffer in for that eventuality of an emergency. So it's available to us and we can quickly act as a town to address any of those things through additional expenditures. Is that
Yes,
fair?
yes, Councilman, well said.
Similar perhaps to getting an increase in your, on your limits on a credit card?
That's another good explanation, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, just because you get the increase doesn't mean you have to
don't mean to
use
spend it, but it's there.
it. Exactly. Any other questions? Okay, then with that, I will offer that.
Second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Oshevsky,
Yes,
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Okay, this ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing set for April 21st, 2021. The last ordinance we have for introduction tonight is 02116, an ordinance reappropriating $215,587 of proceeds of obligations not needed for their original purposes in order to provide funding for various roads improvements in and by the Borough of Highlands in the County of Monmouth, New Jersey.
Does anyone have any questions on this ordinance?
So my question, Mayor, is that this is taking funds that were for projects, those projects have completed. So from
Complete. and
2012 to 2013.
Correct. I think one was from 2012, the other one was 2013. One was for Bay Street and the other one was for Washington. And this is money that was left over that we've not spent in its entirety when we originally bonded for.
And then secondly, it would be the only purpose for the funds would be for those infrastructure improvements for the town, which I'm sure we could all agree
stay
on.
in the bank.
in need.
Streets and sidewalks. That's what we're looking at.
Great, thank you.
And Pat? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. Did you review all of this in reference to all of these funds with the mayor? How did this come to be? You reviewed this with the administrator and the mayor, is that correct? Is that
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Linda, you're good?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. And then with that, I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Oshevsky,
Yes,
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
This ordinance has passed on first reading with public hearing date set for April 21st, 2021. The next item on the agenda are resolutions. First, we have R2187, a resolution authorizing payment of bills.
I just want to correct a typo on the first page. It says that the payments are from March 12, 2021, which was last meeting. I would like to amend this to be March 31, 2012. The dollar amount's correct. It's just that little typo date needs to be resolved.
Right, so the list
Yeah.
would reflect March 31st, 2021. There's a motion to just amend it.
Yes. So I'd like to adopt as amended, and I'll make that motion.
Is there a second to
I'll
correct that?
Second.
Michelle, do you want to take roll call to amend it to the 30, list the date of the 31st, March 31st?
Yes, I'm sorry, I didn't get the second though. Was that Mr. Melnick?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Okay.
So now the motion to amend to reflect the proper date of March 31st, now you can move on the resolution.
So I'll offer again.
I'll
Second.
second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R 2188. It's a resolution authorizing refund of tax overpayment.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R 2189, a resolution authorizing execution of a release and payment to the Highlands Business Partnership.
I'll offer it.
I'll second.
Okay. Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Carolyn, we previously discussed this with the former council, and I thought that we wound up that we would try and submit this under different insurance policies, whether it was going to be the boroughs or the HBPs for the loss. Do we know exactly what happened with that and why perhaps it wasn't covered?
It wasn't, well, it can't be covered by the borough because the sign does not belong to the borough. The sign belongs to HPP.
Right.
Also, the piece of property that it's on is not the borough's, nor is it HPP's. So the sign, which is public property, was removed by our DPW department from public property. It was brought onto public property, and then it was destroyed while in the possession of the borough by whatever happenstance that happened.
Okay, so there wasn't any, what about the HPP's insurance policy? Wasn't possible to submit under their policy since it was their sign?
No, because it wasn't damaged while it was in the possession of the HPP, nor the private property owner that the sign was on that they had a personal agreement with.
Okay, so I thought it was important that we discuss that. I know that there are definitely differentiating accounts as to what transpired with the sign. Most of the council wasn't sitting at that time. But what we do know is that it was broken into several pieces due to the storm last summer. Later on, a DPW employee inadvertently discarded the remnants of the broken sign while it was in the DPW yard. I am not in favor of expecting the taxpayers to pay for a sign that was destroyed in a storm and by a storm that's owned by an entity other than the borough, and that ultimately won't belong to the borough. So my vote is no.
Okay, just to further clarify, if this were to go to a private action in which we would need to involve attorneys and all of that other fine stuff with our joint insurance fund, our minimum cost, I believe, Brian, if you can confirm, is at least $20,000.
I think your administrator would confirm.
Yes. Yes.
That's 20,000. So that would be double its cost right now. If it went into a private action, that's what we're trying to resolve by making this agreement and not having to go to court or having settling out of court and all that other kind of stuff.
Right.
At the end of the day, when a police report was made and the The chief conferred with the prosecutor's office. It was decided that the borough was negligent. And therefore, that is why we are making this offer to not have to deal with any sort of court issues. So that's why I am in favor of it, because we're saving the borough taxpayers $10,000 by doing that.
And I feel otherwise, because I think that we could, actually, the borough and the HBP could probably join together and host a joint venture of some sort, some type of event or more than one event to actually raise the money and develop a sense of community so that everyone could take part in raising the money and contributing towards a sign instead of just expecting the taxpayer to pay for it. So my no stands. Thank you.
Okay, so then I will formally offer it.
Second that.
Well, we
I thought
already had a
I thought we
motion,
already
yes.
through roll. Yeah.
Yes, we did. We had a motion.
But you never did call the roll.
Yes, I
You were in
got,
the middle of it.
Yep.
yes. Councilmember Melnick?
I feel that this is the best compromise to move our town forward past this issue. I vote yes.
Council President Oshesky?
I also vote yes. I can clearly remember the first time I saw that sign, and it said so much of, from every perspective about Highlands. That was wonderful. And if this contribution or this $10,000 is going towards the creation of another sign that does us all benefit, then I'm definitely in support. Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Brian?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R 2190, a resolution appointing members to the Economic Development Review Board.
I'll make this motion. This is Luke Bolderman. He and his father did a great project over in at the other side of town with the marina and with the restaurant. I think he's a fine young man. He just was blessed with his third child, little girl, just a couple of weeks ago, and he's very excited to be part of this committee. So with that, I will offer it.
I'll
Second. Oh, sorry. Linda's got it.
Okay, Ms. Mazzola. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brian?
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R 2191, a resolution authorizing submission of a strategic plan for the Highlands and Atlantic Highlands Municipal Alliance Grant for fiscal year 2021 for the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse fiscal grant cycle, July 2020 through June 2025, Form 1B.
Michelle, I think you meant fiscal year 2022.
Yes.
Okay.
Offer.
I'll offer it.
Second.
I'm sorry, who is the second? Thank
Done.
you. Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brian?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R 2192, a resolution appointing Martin Hawley as Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 1.
I will make that offer.
I'll
I'll-
second.
Member Martin? Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor Brian?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R 2193, a resolution authorizing an amendment to the 2021 temporary budget.
I'll make that offer.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin?
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola?
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick?
Yes.
Council President Oshesky?
Yes.
Mayor
Oh.
Brian?
Yes. Just a question. Did we skip 2193?
That one is 93, a resolution authorizing the amendment.
That's,
I have old paperwork, I guess.
that is 94.
Yeah, that's 94. 93 is for the police chaplain.
For the what?
Police chaplain.
Yep.
Oh, I have it switched somehow. Okay, hold
Yeah,
on.
no worries, as long as it's on there.
So that's 93, 94. My goodness. Having a rough night tonight. Okay. Okay. So that was for 2194. Okay. So now we have 2193. We're a little bit out of order. Is a resolution appointing Reverend Giraffe Quinn as police chaplain.
I'll offer.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Next, we have R 2195, a resolution in support of Pride in Highlands Earth Day.
Michelle, you have the full roll call for 94, which is the amendment to the 2021 temporary budget, right?
Yes, I do. Mhm.
I'll make the offer.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes, and I would hope that we can get an Arbor Day resolution ahead of our next meeting. So I don't believe that there's any language in this particular resolution specific to Arbor Day, and we just need to cover that off for Shade Tree.
What we generally do is on Earth Day, while we're doing the events over in Veterans Park, I usually read out the proclamation. Because I think Arbor Day this year is the 30th, if I'm not mistaken. But if you want to we could always do another resolution to have that proclamation read out at the Earth Day event, because the next meeting will be before that.
I'll circle back with Shade Tree this coming week just to make sure that we're covered. And if we have anything, we at least have that buffer. So yes is the answer.
Right, because it'll be the 21st. So we'll have time.
Yeah.
He has the same verbiage that I believe we used last time, so we can just change the date and the year.
Yep.
Excellent.
Okay, so that was a yes for Councilmember Melnick.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion,
Yes.
motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R 2196, a resolution authorizing the execution of an agreement between the PBA,
PBA.
local, yeah, Local 48 and the Borough of Highlands.
I'll offer that with the brief explanation that this is just how they deal with staff for detectives in the police department. It was recommended by the chief, and it went through the local union, so we are all fine with that. So I will offer that.
I'll
And
second.
there's- oops, okay.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
Yes.
Council President Olszewski,
I want to make sure that I read it properly. There's no cost, no increased cost to us with this. Is that correct?
Correct. No cost.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, I vote yes.
Mayor Brion,
Yes.
motion carries to adopt.
But before we finished, is Chief Burton on the call? I thought that I saw him earlier. Can you unmute Chief Burton, Michelle, for one moment?
Yes, give me one moment.
Hi, Chief. Hi, Chief.
Hello, everyone.
I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we conversation about this the other night, And I'm hoping you could just give us a brief rundown as to why this change. And then I would also like to request that after the 4 months has transpired, if you could just report back to us and let us know if it worked for you.
Sure. For a long time, the detective position here, I held myself for 6 years. It's very difficult, especially now with technology. We have a tremendous amount of cases that involve cell phones, things like that, where the detective has to sit at the desk. They have to watch videos, surveillance videos from businesses. They have to do a lot of electronic data research and extraction. It takes a long time. This allows a detective to remain technically off the schedule to do those things. It gives them the flexibility to attend classes and detectives meetings that I was never able to go to. I missed out on a lot of those things, and it's just something that we really need. We worked with the PBA and with our labor attorney to come up with an agreement. And as I said on our phone call, it's no cost to the borough. It's a 4-month trial period. And if at any time this does not work, I will definitely report to the administrator and we can change it. I think this is something that should have been in place a long time ago, or it could have been. It just wasn't. It wasn't explored, and we just made do. We did the best that we could with what we had, and times have changed, and it's not good enough anymore. That's it.
Thank you so much, Chief.
Thank you.
Would you like me to continue, Mayor?
Please do so.
Okay, thank you. Next is R 2197, a resolution authorizing refund of a street opening and curb cut deposit.
I can offer that.
Second,
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
yes,
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. Next, we have R 2198, a resolution certifying and approving 2019 LoSAP contributions.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Sorry about that. I was coughing for a second. Mayor Brion, okay. Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
yes,
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt. The last resolution we have is R 2199, introducing the 2021 municipal budget.
And I will offer it.
I'll second.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Mazzola,
Yes.
Councilmember Melnick,
yes,
Council President Olszewski,
Yes.
Mayor Brion.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries to adopt. There are no items under other business, so the next item on agenda are reports.
I have no report this evening.
No report for engineering.
Next.
Sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, is there anything else that the council or any of the other professionals would like to add before we go to the members of the public?
just a quick question for Mike and Greg. Just as far as the next scheduled report, like, can we expect a readout next session on the 17th?
I will, yes.
Greg, same?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by the fact that there aren't reports, because we got reports. We actually had reports sent to us.
I would just say that if there's anything that I would need you to act on, then I would report on that. To the extent that you want to hear anything from us, I'm happy to report on whatever you like.
I mean, it's up to the mayor, but I think it's important that the engineer and the administrator speak to the public as to what they've been doing and the great job that they've been doing and all the meetings that they've been having and the progress that's being made in reference to the area.
You cut
Yeah,
it.
I agree. I agree with Lynette in the sense that, there's so much information that we get from the hard work that gets done by both the administrator and the engineering. I think that good work needs to get the light of day a lot. So appreciate if we can get that readout like we've had in previous months.
Okay, will do.
Thank you.
And then just going forward, if we could have professional reports at every first meeting, and then we'll do committee reports at every second meeting. I think that's worked well, and I'd like to continue with that method.
Very good, Mayor.
Before we go to public portion, I've got a couple of things, and that is the townwide cleanup has been absolutely amazing. I believe we're close to 70 registrations so far, and we're only 3 days in, and we still have a whole nother week to go. And I want to commend our DPW supervisor for coming up with this idea, and I was happy to help him to get it out there and get the registration up and help him make a flyer and put it all out there. So I think a lot of people are exceedingly happy that things that they could had a lot of problems getting rid of, paint cans, propane tanks, all those kind of terrible things. Ron found a way in which he can just get them all together, and whether we're going to bring it to Mazza for scrap or any other way that we can leverage our relationships with folks in the county, I think it's really going to make a big difference for a lot of folks in town. So I just wanted to give that shout out. Along with this townwide cleanup, the reason that we did it in 2 separate weeks is to give time for DPW to get a chunk of it done and then have them go back to their regular duties and then get another chunk done. And then we're going to have our Earth Day event that we have every year. And you'll be seeing something from me sending that out. So I'll send it around and we'll get it on the website and we'll get the flyers up and the signups and all that good stuff. And of course, all of our, everyone pulls together for this event. It's not just any one entity. Of course, DPW is instrumental, as well as the police department and the PBA, fire, first aid, everybody pitches in, and all the residents as well. A couple of years ago, I planted seagrass with Linda over at the community center, and then planted some more with Georgie in the office and her husband down here at Miller Beach and on at Vets Park. It's a great community event. And if I hadn't mentioned, the PBA will be making us hamburgers and hot dogs for lunch over at Vets Park. So that's always a lot of fun. And I think that's all I've got. If anyone else has something before we go to the public. No? All right, then Michelle, let's open this up to the public.
I think, Joanne, do you have something to say?
Yes, I was turned off. I just wanted to say thank you. I'm going to have shelves in my garage I can see. I'm very excited about this. Thank you.
Absolutely. Happy to help. So now, portion we have, I think I already knew new glasses, if it was hard now. We've got 12 panelists and 27 attendees for a total of 39 participants.
Okay. I just have a little statement to read. It's please wait to be acknowledged by the mayor before speaking. Please state your name and address for the record before making your statement. There's a 3-minute time limit for your comment. Thank you very much. Let's see.
Michelle, if you're ready for your timer, I think Carla Cefalo is up first. If you could please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, thank you. It's Carla Cefalo, 62 Gravelly Point Road, and I'm a volunteer for the Highlands Business Partnership. And I would like to thank the mayor and council and Mr. Masillo for negotiating the restitution with our president, Jay Cosgrove, who could not be on the call tonight. And I just want to give a little background to Mazzola's remarks. The Highlands Business Partnership purchased that sign in 2008 after maintaining the sign before it for thousands of dollars. We purchased that sign for $28,500. And for many years before Linda moved here in 2018 or 19, we have always shared that sign with the borough, and we not only shared it, we paid for some of their event signage to be created and installed. So it's always been a joint effort. Of course, that offer still stands. The new sign is going to be $32,000 to replace. The board of directors voted to replace the sign exactly as the sign that was existing. The piece that was destroyed, which was the gold lighthouse, which cost the most money, we could have reused that piece before it was destroyed, saving $10,000. That's where we came up. We got price quotes and we could have reused that piece. In addition, since, as the mayor explained, the mayor was at our board of directors meeting and the board wanted full restitution. So it was really a really nice compromise between Mr. Masillo and Jay Cosgrove. And I thank each and every one of you that voted to support it. So again, since 2008, it's always been shared. And we have purchased signs for the first aid or, whoever needed one, borough events. And of course, we will continue to do that. So thank you.
Okay. Next, we have Ms. Kim Skorka.
Kim Skorka, Shore Drive. With the recent rabid raccoon that was found in town, has the borough discussed enforcing dog licenses? If no one's going to answer me, I will rattle off the rest of my questions. The status of the JFK shared service negotiations, what's this, where do we stand with that with the local towns? What is the status of holding a meeting on the school consolidation? What is the status on asking the state to do a police department consolidation study? Has anybody gotten a status of the U.S. Geological Service steep slope survey that they've been doing? I don't remember the exact year, but I know they put sensors in the slope a few years ago. And I have an issue with the layout of the Zoom meeting. When I logged on, it was tiles. I could see all of the council and administration, well, until it got changed. Now I only see the speaker view. I'd appreciate it if I could at least see all of the council and administration. My box wasn't up, so somehow you figured out how to turn off certain cameras. So I'd appreciate it if you would go back to that tile view, and I'll sit and wait for answers. Thank you.
Hi, Ms. Skorka. I can answer your questions about the JFK. I did speak with the administrators in Atlantic Highlands and Seabright, and it's something that they said they would consider next year. For the rest of this year, it's not something that they were going to consider.
And to answer the geological survey, I'm almost positive that almost as recently as a week ago that they, after multiple emails, I think Steve actually had gotten a response to it. I'm almost positive, actually, it might have been earlier this week, but it had been quite some time since there was any sort of contact between the two. So I think, I'm not even sure it's the same person that actually started it. I'd have to look into that and be able to kind of give you a more direct answer via email, but I will definitely get back to you on that.
I want to say it was either 2017 or 2018 because I wrote that report synopsis of it was in Atlantic Highlands and it was the USGS, and they were talking about just their progress from that time. I honestly do not think that they have released any information since COVID.
Yeah, I'm almost positive that I think the only thing that was in that email, I'll read it again, was the fact they got a response for the first time, and I'm not sure how long. So,
A status on the school consolidation, that's in the assembly now. Even if they voted on it tomorrow, nothing would happen until next year. So it's a little premature to start doing meetings on the consolidation before the actual legislation has passed both houses plus got the governor's signature. But believe me, we are on it. We are having discussions and bringing the new council members up to speed on everything that's happened prior. Status on the school, we already did status of JFK. Regarding the, even though you asked specifically about dog licenses, I could tell you that the folks from Middletown and also the entire TNR team they deployed a bunch of agents down to the area where the raccoon was found, and they've been doing a massive TNR down there just to make sure. And so far, none of the community cats have come back positive for rabies. But Mr. Masillo, I don't know if you've spoken with Middletown regarding dogs at all?
No, I haven't, but it's a conversation I'll have with them tomorrow.
Yeah, I think the interaction with the raccoon was not with dogs, it was with cats.
Yeah.
So that's why that did not come up.
And Mayor, I feel that Ms. Skorka's question also had to do with the enforcement of the licenses, not necessarily whether they're dogs or cats or any other, but rather the enforcement of license with being.
This is specifically what she was speaking of.
Yep.
Michelle, not to put you on the spot, because I know that you're not at your computer at the office, but perhaps we can take a look at the number of dog licenses that are out there and to see if there's what kind of a difference we're seeing. And we can then go from there and give that to either Mr. Brunt or to Chief Burton.
Of course, I'll look into that tomorrow.
Okay. As for other view, how we used to do Zoom, I do believe someone else mentioned that there was a lot of inappropriate behavior. There were people laying in bed. There were people smoking, drinking, eating, scantily clad clothing. And it's terrible reflection on the borough, especially when we tape these meetings and anyone can go and get one, and you see all of the tiles and you see all of this irrelevant behavior that has nothing to do with how the borough does business. A number of towns use this webinar view, and we find that it is by far more professional, and we've gotten a lot of emails reflecting exactly that. So we're going to stick with this view. And I think I answered everything.
Carolyn, I don't think you understood what I said about Zoom. When I logged on to this meeting, I could see Michelle, I could see Linda, and I could see the council members as they were coming into the meeting. So somehow there's a setting that you guys have that you can pick who is in tile view, because I couldn't see me and I couldn't see any non-borough council or officials. So I'd appreciate it if we could look into that. And also, if you go back and watch the meetings when we did have the tile view, the recording actually only records who is speaking. So if you wanted to go back and find that person laying in bed or drinking on camera, you can't actually find them unless they're speaking.
And they were speaking. So I'm sorry, but it's unprofessional.
So
right
you're still going to get them laying in bed when
you're talk over me, Kim. I'm trying to have a conversation with you and to answer your questions.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. As I just said, numerous other towns, we've got the professionals are here and the person that is speaking is on speaker view, and that's what everybody can see.
So how come when I logged on, I could see all of the council members, but none of the public?
No one else should be doing that.
So perhaps maybe Michelle or whoever administrates the Zoom, what happened that when I logged on, I could see multiple council members, but now I can't? It sounds like somebody changed the
We're gonna
status.
have to take a look at, and Michelle and I will work together to see why you're not seeing all of the council members.
Okay. And one last thing, the reason I asked about whether or not we're going to enforce the dog licenses is because in the past, and I will admit, it's been very small samples. When I have done Oprah requests for dog licenses, I found a less than 50% compliance in dog licensing. I know some of the dog owners, I'm sure they get their dogs vaccinated, but we get dog licenses for a reason. So given that there has been a rabid raccoon, and I understand it hasn't interacted with any dogs, but the borough may want to consider getting some assistance in the dog licensing enforcement. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, I see Mr. Smith has his hand up.
Yes.
Can I speak?
Yes, can you just state your name and address, please?
Jim Smith, 380 East Van Dorn Avenue, Holly Springs, Mississippi.
Thank you.
With regard to Resolution 21-89, who do you have to know? Because it's apparently very lucrative to know people in office. This evening you settled with HPB, and I'm not sure if a notice of claim was filed or not. A lot of people wonder why I live in Mississippi, but I'm on these calls in Highlands all the time. So I'd like to explain that. While I was living in Arizona, my wife, my various businesses, and myself were harassed and cyber stalked by a high-ranking member of your police department. I hadn't been in Highlands for close to 30 years. I wasn't doing business in Highlands. And aside from Tony and Carol Bucco, I didn't speak or correspond with anyone from Highlands. I was harassed and cyber stalked because of my association with what the police department terms an outlaw motorcycle club. I filed complaints against the officer. At least one of those complaints was upheld and found valid. I then filed a notice of claim. Not only did the borough, the mayor, or any member of the council not reach out to me to apologize for the actions of this officer, they refused to respond to my emails, and my notice of claim wasn't even acknowledged. Tonight, I hear Ms. Braswell saying words like negotiating and restitution. Again, it must be really nice to know people in Highlands. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Michelle, I don't see anyone else's hand up. Hang on, do you, I think someone just popped up.
Yes.
Trisha.
Mhm.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, just please state your name and address.
It's Tricia Rivera, Waterwich Avenue, Highlands.
Thank you.
I have a question regarding Captain's Cove. My understanding, they received their mercantile license weeks ago. Did they receive their business certificate of occupancy? Hello?
Not that I signed off on the mercantile license.
Okay, but did they receive, my question is, did they receive their business certificate of occupancy?
There is no certificate of occupancy because the bookhead is, the jurisdiction is within the DEP, not within the Borough of Highlands. There is no building. The certificate of occupancy is for a building. There is no building on the property.
Okay, I beg to differ with you, and I'd like to direct this to Mr. Cherbarek. It's 10-14.1. New tenants or owners required to obtain business certificate of occupancy, new premises or portion of premises of the commercial or industrial property, whether in a commercial or industrial zone or in a different zone, by reason of non-conforming use shall be rented or sold, and thereafter occupied by a new tenant or owner without an appropriate application for an issuance of a business of occupancy, sorry. So that's in our code. So this is a business, and I would imagine they need a certificate of occupancy due to our code.
Well, you can direct your questions to the mayor and council. I don't
Well-
necessarily know that it's required, but we'll look into it.
Okay, and then my other question is regarding the ordinance for the 260, I'm sorry, I don't have it, for the extra $260,000 in bonds you found. I'm sorry, I can't find it, but
The
tonight.
214 for the
Yeah.
streets, Mr. Rivera? Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
I see you have Beach Boulevard, and I believe that's included in the Bay Avenue Waterway Sewer Sanitary project, paving that street. So you might want to take a look at that. What's included in that, that ordinance, the sewer sanitary, the streets, because I believe Beach Boulevard is in there. So it would be a waste to pave it if you're going to rip it up and then repave it. So I wanted to bring that to your attention. And the other thing I'd like to mention is about the HPB sign. In 2000, I look back at their minutes. In 2008, it was the cost of that sign per their minutes was actually $18,000. So I don't know where these high numbers are coming in. And that's back from 2008. So we're paying more than half for a sign that was completely destroyed. I have a picture of it. There was no way of repairing that sign because I went down to the DPW to dump stuff that was damaged during that storm in my yard. So just to get that on the record, it was only 18K. Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle, seeing nobody else, I'd like to adjourn.
I can see one other hand, Mayor.
Oh,
It just
I'm
popped up. That's okay. It just popped up. It's Joseph Nardone.
Hello, this is Joseph Nardone, 196 Bay Avenue, Highlands, New Jersey. So this question is kind of just for the council at large, but what is really going on with the Middletown construction office? You know, we're having an extreme amount of difficulty with them. You know, even Mike, who's been helping us, the borough admin, you know, even he says that other people are having problems with it. So it's not just us. You know, Bill Brunt, the code enforcer, said that I ought to just give up my ideological way of doing things, where hoping people follow the rules and instead just do things the way that Middletown wants me to do them. You know, just let them take however long they want to, you know, fill out permits or what have you. So, you know, is anything being done to monitor the complaints that are being raised against Middletown? If I'm not the only person complaining, and, you know, what way can Highlands, you know, this might be a question for Mr. Chabarik, but what way can Highlands prevent itself from getting lawsuits from people, you know, that are going to be waiting far longer than the statute for services from Middletown? Does Highlands have anything in their ordinance to punish Middletown for not adhering to the shared service agreements? And then I have another question, but I'll let that one be answered first, please.
Mr. Musilla, would you like to give that a try?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know Mr. Nardone and I have spoken quite a bit about trying to get him the paperwork and the approvals that he needs. And it has been an ongoing issue, which I have spoken with him about, and I've spoken with Middletown. Bringing them back for their hours in town, I thought would help a little bit. There are opt-out clauses in the agreement we have with them. But there are things that we would have to do if we wanted to bring it back in town. We would have to, again, hire additional staff, hire subcode officials to do that. But there are certain ways. I've sat down with Middletown, and I think it's something that has to be done again.
Okay. Thank you, Mike. My second question kind of goes back to what Tricia, who, you know, I frequently don't agree with too much, but she brings up a good point about the business certificate of occupancy. It was my understanding that any commercial or industrial property or non-conforming property that is non-residential, according to that ordinance, needs to have a business certificate of occupancy. So, it seems a bit strange that the marina, which I want to be open, is going to be allowed to be opened, but my business, which has been closed for 8 months, operating at a loss, is being held up by, the business certificate of occupancy, which is, really, it's there's no state code that says it's mandatory even. So, it doesn't really make sense that my building's approved for residential use and residential occupancy, but it's not approved for a business certificate of occupancy. And now I'm finding out that, other businesses that are maybe more well-connected than mine are able to operate without a business certificate of occupancy. So it's very upsetting. So thank you. Or any comment to that, actually, I should say. Thank you.
I don't know what you refer to when you're saying people are well connected. As I said before, when Tricia disagreed with me, that when we will look into it further, but without a structure, the marina is under the purview of the DEP. We can't tell them what to do with their bulkheads. We can't tell them how to rebuild it. We can't tell them any of that because we do not have jurisdiction over that.
But the property is zoned commercial.
Building on that property, we would absolutely have jurisdiction and have to provide a CO of that building in order for them to move forward.
Well, the ordinance refers to commercial premises, which, according to the tax maps, that is a commercial premises.
Correct.
In
And
Highlands.
so we said we're going to go back and look at the ordinance and see how it applies specifically to marinas that have no other structure on them.
Really, the correct thing to do is just to get rid of the business certificate of occupancy requirement. It
That as
doesn't.
long as we are aligned with Middletown, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you got it. And now, Michelle, with that, I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.